Hello. I'd like to, my goal for this introductory video is to give you a look at the pre-course readings and some highlights in that regard, things to be aware of, and then week one for marketing research. This is, of course, probably a little bit different than you're used to in that more of it's pushed to you to work as a team and things like that. So you want to start off on the right foot. So this is my goal for you. So let's take a peek at a few items here. So welcome to class. Here's the agenda. So here's what I suggest you do, or as a welcome. So take a tour of my USF, how it's laid out. I've got videos for all the assignments, every chapter, every place that it could be helpful to you to have, well, what is answer the question, what's he looking for? I'm going to give you those. My expectation then, which is at the bottom, I realize, is that you're going to listen to all the videos from beginning to end. So I'm not going to get an email of something that's already been taken care of in these videos to answer those questions. And that's true of everybody in the course. So click on all the left-hand links, click on everything, and know what's out there. There's lots of resources available to you. Stay in tune, read your email. Time goes fast in these courses, so you want to make the most of it and learn something that's useful to you. So some points to remember: that we've got a research. This is essentially what you're going to be scored on. You've got a research project that you're going to work with a real business, answering real business research questions and running real research for them. Not a made-up thing, not a case study. This is as real as it gets, because it is. It's an actual entrepreneurial endeavor. And there'll be a separate video more specifically about that, but I'll cover a fair amount here too, just to kind of get you in the right frame of mind. So you're going to be scored on that, and then your team evaluation, you're going to evaluate yourself and your team members as to their level, quality, quantity, timeliness of participation in the project. Just because the project may get an A doesn't mean everybody that worked on or is involved or has a name on the project is going to get an A. So if I get feedback from your team members that you're not performing to a high enough level, on time, accurate, whatever it might be, there'll be a deduction, and a serious one. So I take that very seriously. Be on top of this. I can't emphasize that enough. Those weekly discussions, there's a video for that for each week, kind of what I'm looking for, things to pay attention to. Those are important. Reading the book this is not optional. You're going to have to read that to really understand what's going on. I give you as much help as I can with that. So we've got weekly discussions. There's also a book analysis. There's a video that describes that in detail with a specific format. There's a specific format for all of these things that I provide for you. The weekly discussions as well. And then my expectation is that you'll behave professionally. I mean, this is quite frankly, a chance for you to shine as a team member or a leader, which there's only two roles for each of these, but to really contribute at a high level. And my hope is that you get a job interview and they ask you, well, what have you done in marketing, or what have you done strategically, or how have you performed in a little more something that was out of your maybe studied field or things like that. What are you capable of? And that you could show them this project as a sterling example of the work that you've been involved with and done, and the value you can add to an organization. So that's my expectation, that you perform at a high level. Goals and the project. So work within your group. That's the key. Stay in communication with the team leader. Only the team leaders are going to directly speak to, because otherwise it gets to be too messy, to the client, which will be named in the project. There's a different one for every time I teach this class, so that's why I don't name them here for sure. I want you to think like a problem solver, opportunity finder. This isn't just going through the paces, kind of sleepwalking. This is a means for an end. You're working with a real business after all, so make it count. Give it your all. Really get after it. And then to that point, which I'm going to cover here in just a second in more detail, know the Know the market characteristics, macro or big picture, and then little picture in the current market they're in, but micro or macro. Stuff you learned in marketing management, the strategic things. You're going to make applications going to help you uncover the questions that should be answered and that you can realistically answer, quite frankly, in this course for this company. So put your thinking cap on. So some considerations for the project. And these are 6 questions, when you meet with, which I'll arrange directly via Zoom or something similar. And if you want to meet again with them outside of this, the designated time, you sure can. But these are questions that you want to ask, or go to their website and study in great detail. And I might repeat this in the directions for the project, quite honestly. So anyway, describe what services you provide and who or what are your intended target markets. That's key. Who are you trying to sell to? The key question in marketing, who's your market? That directs all activities thereafter. So, maybe you're trying to go after it, maybe you're trying to reposition yourself. This is not divorced from general marketing knowledge. And I've got a video that I'm going to include just as a little refresher in marketing that you should listen to too. That's going to be close to where this one's at. So describe your service to help your market or provide value. What's your value proposition? Why do people buy from you? Why should they choose you versus everybody else? What do you bring to the table that creates, how do you differentiate yourself? These would be great questions for somebody on a job interview too. Same idea. Again, you're thinking of as a problem solver, a value finder. What would you say makes your services or product different from a competitor or similar products? How do you currently price or value your services? Really, almost all research questions boil down to 4 areas: product, features and benefits, pricing, promotion, distribution. That's all of business right there. And again, so how would you distribute? How far could you or willing to distribute your services? How do you currently provide or promote your services? Those are all really good things if you need to understand how it operates. Next, talk to many areas of business that you have questions you would like answered, such as pricing, who, what, when, where, how to target, basic stuff, but this is the genesis of ideas and breakthroughs. So what's the goal for the project? Actionable information. A representative sample. You must clearly define the target market. How are you segmenting the market? These I'm not telling you what the questions are, but they could be centered around those things. And again, you're going to clear that with the company and myself too. So I'll be there to help you if you need it. Collection method that best matches the information needs and the situation, survey construction, data analysis, use of the text as a reference. It's a how-to. That textbook, it's not the newest one in the world, which should save you a little money, but all the basics reside there. And then collaboration with the group, so you don't cover the same things necessarily. So you want to collaborate. Reading overview. So these first 5 chapters, you got the role of research. You got to read these first 8 chapters in detail. This is going to be true of all the chapters, or most all of the chapters. But role of research, information systems, knowledge management. How is information gathered? Who, what, when, where, how? Theory building. Formal testable explanation, empirical or data-driven activities. Chapter 4, research process. Loads of examples are provided. So if you want to know how it should look, you go there. So like page 51, exploratory, descriptive, diagnostic, causal, and causality is a great. Chapter 4 is great in that sense. Ethical issues. And then we get into week 1, problem definition. This is the essential step. What do we want to know? What do we need to know? And so on. Qualitative versus quantitative. Look on page 141. There's some information about that that's really good. And then secondary data research. That can be absolutely essential and a shortcut to figuring things out. As the client is willing to provide. So there's always, you have to consider that too. So next week, make sure you carefully, consistently communicate with your project leader. Leaders, please collaborate and stay in contact with the company. Don't forget the weekly discussions and the book analysis. The book analysis, which is a separate thing, which got a separate video for that, and the discussions. But don't neglect those. Stay on top of this. Timing matters. Time goes fast. Okay, that should get you going.